Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Saint Nightingale. I'll be showing you how I was able to use this brown paper to cut my pattern after I had sketched it. What I did first was to put the brown paper on the floor and secure with my paper tape so that everything is firm and I can get an accurate measurement. This was a style that I sketched. I wanted to recreate for my client, and so I'll be replicating this design on the brown paper. So after securing this on the floor using a paper tape, I now decided to secure and place the starting point, thereafter placing the bust point, the under bust point, and the waist length, and then I secured this from start to finish using the ruler. After tracing this out, I secured the client's nipple to nipple measurement, which is 7, and divided this by 2, which gave me 3.5. So that 3.5, I added about half an inch because of the joining that I'll be having in the middle, and then that gave me 4 inches. So 4 inches from left to right, marked on the bust point, the under bust point, and the waist point, and I drew this straight line from up to down, and then I took out 1 inch from the start line above the bust points, and I also took 1 inch away from the under bust and the waist length, and then used the curve ruler to trace it from the start line to the under bust, and got the shape for the first side and the other side. And then the X mark is the part that I will not be using. I'll be tracing out when I decide to cut this out. Please do not forget to subscribe as we continue. And then I marked my 1 and 2, which is what I'll be using to cut out the cup. The reason why I marked it is so that I won't get confused when I place it on the material, and when I decide to flip it, because this is the right side from my view. When I flip it to the left side, it will be easier for me to know which one is which. After cutting this, tracing this out, I decided to trace out the back, the X part as well. The part that has XX is the part that I will not be using. I'll be tracing that out. I took out about 4 inches from the upper part of the back and about 2.5 inches from the lower part, so that I can get that V shape at the back. And then that part that I'm pointing out is the dart allowance. The part I'm pointing out is the part that I'm going to be taking out from the fabric, since I will be using loop instead of zip. Then I traced out the armhole from the back, and also measured the waistline. Now on this part, I'm tracing out, if you can remember what I just showed you earlier on, I'm tracing out the cup area. This is the flap just above the cup that I'm cutting out. I'm tracing this out now, and I'm also trying to secure the lines using the lines that I had created to create the flap on the fabric. So I'm tracing this out now carefully so that I do not go too in or too out. I'm going to pick my pencil now so that I can mark the area that is facing up, and the area that is facing down, the area that is facing left, and the area that is facing right, so that I can easily identify this when I am trying to place this on the material and the interfacing. After this, I took the brown paper and I started cutting out the pattern that I had created for the corset. Remember, I said the part that had the X sign is the part I would not be using anymore. So that's point A, and I'm trying to cut out my points B now from the brown paper. After doing this, I'm now going to trace out the X part away from the fabric so that I can now put them together. Remember that the front part of the dress, the waistline is extended towards the navel, which is why this is this long, so that it will be easy for me to trace out on the fabric when I decide to cut out the shape that I want the front part to look like, the front part of the corset. So now I'm going to trace out the X line out of this fabric before I cut on the main fabric. After doing this, I'm now going to take my paper tape. I'm going to use my paper tape to secure it on both sides before I place it on the fabric itself that I'm going to be using for this design. So this is what it looks like after placing the paper tape to secure the cuts that I had made so that I can replicate on the fabric. I'm still trying to put more paper tape on the brown paper so that I can secure it properly. So this is what it looks like after placing the paper tape to secure what I just cut out. I'm now going to replicate this on the fabric, and here we go. This is it. I'm zooming in so you can see everything is intact. The loop on top, I added 1 inch allowance across the cut so that by the time joining allowance, sewing allowance, by the time I sew it together, it looks perfect and it becomes a perfect fit. This is the back cut, and so I'm going to be showing you what the front part looks like. This is the front part using the pattern that I had created after joining. I'm now going to be joining this together. So this is the cup area that already has the wadding pad. After sewing this, what I did was to also ensure, rather before sewing, I'd marked the bust point so it's easy for me to identify where the bust point is. And then I also, after sewing this part, added the bra cup inside so that it's firm enough to sit well in the pattern for the corset. So it has this bra illusion. Usually some persons might decide to use just bra cup to sew the corset and stay. Some persons might decide to use just wadding, depending on your choice. But to have that final finishing, or that fine finishing, I would advise that you, aside from the wadding, you also use the bra cup to make the bra cup firm. So this is what this looks like for the first fitting that I did on my client. I had her wear the upper body first before I wore the skirt on it, which would eventually give us a final gown look. So this is what the back side looks like. You can see the yoke, you can see the loop, you can see I used pins to hold this because afterwards I'm going to be using buttons to secure it. This is the back, where I also use pins to pin the back so that we can get that final finishing. I'd also not closed the slit yet at this point. You can see the yoke on top, which we use the skin net, and then we use the chantilly lace for the sleeves. I'd also use the material for the boning cage, so that I can get that. So I marked using the cut I had before. I had marked with a chalk to trace out the front part of the corset. After tracing, I took a scissors to trace out the area that I had marked, so that I can now get that shape that I had sketched out in the design. So now I'm cutting what I had marked using my scissors. I'm tracing it out. When you're doing this, also remember to leave extra inches, so that when you're sewing this back in, the cloth doesn't become too short or out of shape. So I had left about half an inch higher than the final cut that was for the upper body of this dress. I had left about half an inch, so that when I'm folding it sits properly. So now I have cut out the fabric, the excess fabric, the fabric that I won't be needing, and this is what we have. So I used my pin to secure, my bobbin pin to secure it. Do not forget to subscribe, please subscribe. I used my bobbin pin to secure the tip that I'll be sewing. First of all, what I did was, after securing with the bobbin pin, I started using needle and thread to secure the skirts on the blouse, to secure the skirt on the corset blouse, before now using the sewing machine to now finish this look, so that this doesn't shift from what I actually intended this to look like. So this is it. After this, I now decided to add the other accessories to the upper body using my hula glue. I used the UHU glue to do this, and then I also now did the beading work. I can't wait for you to see what this looks like finally. So here we go. This is the final look of my client. She looks so happy, excited about her dress. Show us what you have. This is it. This is what this looks like from sketch to reality. I hope you have been able to follow through. If you have any questions, I'll be replying you in the comment section down below. Do not forget to subscribe, to like, and also watch my other videos and my shorts. Thank you for watching. This is Nightingale.